T'as d'école au Sénégal, d'accord. À école au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à te connecter. Tape école au Sénégal, les leçons sont beaucoup plus détaillées.
Changing a topic. Have you been in a situation where you've been embarrassed by a topic, or you're outspoken in a conversation, you have nothing to talk about and everything is just at a standstill and you're kind of bored? Or in a situation where you're talking and you are actually have nothing to talk about, like you're just either out of topic or have no idea about what you're talking about, and you just simply want to just kind of switch. How do you do it? Oftentimes people feel like it's rude switching, you know, just trying to switch on a topic, but it's not rude depending on how you do it. And today we're going to look at a couple of expressions that you can use to actually politely switch a conversation, switch a topic or a theme, or, you know, a talk that you guys are talking about. Maybe because you're embarrassed, maybe because you have no knowledge of what they're talking about, or probably because you guys have outspoken in a conversation and now it's just boring, everybody's just quiet, you know. How do you do it to kind of bring alive, or trying to change it, or trying to make everybody feel comfortable, not necessarily being rude about it? There are polite ways, polite expressions, and we're going to look at a bunch of them today on the board. And the first one is speaking of. For example, well, today I will be going to the bank because I have to, you know, withdraw some money because I have to pay off, you know, I have to pay off my rent. So speaking of money, or speaking of finance, have you bought your ticket yet for the concert? You see how you do it? You just cut it off. Speaking of money, so maybe that someone has said something and you're just picking one thing from that conversation to try to turn it around, you know, for a better conversation. You know, you said, oh, I have to rush to the bank before it closes. You know, I have to collect some money, withdraw some money to pay off my mortgage, to pay off the rent. So oh yeah, speaking of money, or talking about money. Have you paid off, or have you purchased your ticket yet for the concert? It's going to be amazing, you know. And so it's a good and fun way, or a polite way of kind of like switching on topics, you know. So that'll be a good way. The second one is getting back to what I was saying. Maybe you were talking about maybe your wedding, or planning a vacation or something, and someone brings in a topic that makes you feel very uncomfortable, or you realize that a lot of people are not comfortable. Well, you can say, getting back to what I was saying, getting back to what I was talking about. So what do you think about a destination wedding? What are your thoughts about a destination wedding? So you were getting back to the topic because maybe someone had derived that somebody had gone off track. Okay, because it happens a lot that people just go off track conversations and they just kind of like they divert, and they can make you confused about what you're talking about, and you want to get back to your conversation. So what you would say is getting back to what I was saying, getting back to my conversation, getting back to what we were talking about. So if you're getting back, it means that you were on track and somebody took you away from it. Somebody kind of diverted the conversation to something that was not something that was out of topic, and you want to actually bring it back to topic. So you would say, well, getting back to what I was saying. You understand? So you're getting back to where you were. You actually went off the road. You actually got diverted, and now you're getting back. So getting back to what I was talking about, getting back to what we were focusing on, you know, that would be another expression that you can use. The next one would be, by the way. By the way, I'm traveling tomorrow. By the way, I'll be leaving tomorrow. Maybe in a situation where you guys have outspoken and there's nothing actually to talk about. You know, you want to like break that spark or something. You say, oh, by the way, I'm traveling tomorrow. So this might be our last time together this semester. You get it? So by the way, it's actually something that you throw in when your conversation is done and you guys are just quiet for a moment, and there's just that dull moment, you know, you say, by the way, you know, it's like a oops, you know, And then the other one is, that reminds me. That reminds me. You were in a conversation and that you had probably forgotten something and you absolutely need to like throw it in there. That reminds me. Have you called grandma? So maybe you're talking about your family and stuff, calling people and say, oops, that reminds me. So you're trying to change a little bit the topic, you know. And so that reminds me, have you called grandma? You know she's been asking of you for quite a while now. You promised giving her a call. That reminds me, did you pay off that bill? Did you pay off that debt? You know, that reminds me. It means you had probably forgotten and then it just suddenly popped up. That reminds me. That brings me to mind. It's similar to that reminds me. That brings me to mind. You're talking about a situation that probably happened and you're thinking, and out of a sudden, you're thinking, oh, that brings to mind something similar. It means that it's something that probably happened to me as well and you want to share it. Oh, so that brings to mind a situation where I was late and I missed my flight as well. You know, that is almost the same thing. That you have maybe a similar situation to whoever was talking first. Okay, changing the subject, and a comma, changing the subject. Maybe it's something that is uncomfortable. I just don't want to say, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. That's being a bit rude. You know, maybe it's a topic, maybe sometimes you're in the midst of places where, for example, you're talking about relationships people having your boyfriends, or you're talking about people that have traveled before and you're just there and you feel uncomfortable because you've probably never entered a plane and you don't know how to describe your first time in a plane, for example, or your first time in town. And so if you realize that, you'll be like, okay, changing the subject, or changing the topic, who has a traditional outfit, by the way. So you're trying to change the subject because maybe if it made you feel uncomfortable, or you realize that someone was uncomfortable about it and you want to change the subject, or you want to change the topic, or you want to change the point of conversation. Okay, you are changing the subject because someone is either uncomfortable or something, or probably you just don't want to talk about it. Okay, you just feel like you're done with it and you just don't want to say, I don't want to talk about it, or I just want to say, stop it. But the polite way would be changing the subject. Before I forget, well, before I forget is something that it's almost similar to that reminds me. It's similar to that reminds me. Before I forget, we need to stop by at the mall so I get me a pair of shoes. Before I forget, I need to make a phone call to my secretary. Before I forget, I need to book, I need to make a reservation. Before I forget. So you're interrupting a conversation, but it's polite. Oh, before I forget. Excuse me, before I forget, you know? Oh, while I remember. Similar, while we're on the same topic, because you're probably talking about, you know, dinner, and so you're like, oh, while we're on the same subject, or while I remember, okay, that would be another way, while I remember, or on a happier or sad note, probably, you know, that would be another way of probably trying to change a conversation. You know, maybe it's the way argument or a lot of tension. You say, oh, on a happier note, I'm getting married next month. You know, on a happier note, grandpa, guess what? Grandpa is coming. Or if you want to change, on a sad note, I'm sorry to announce the death of. On a sad note, I'm sorry to let you all know that I got separated, I got divorced. Or on a sad note, the salaries didn't go through. So it could be on a happier note or on a sad note. If you want to announce something because you probably just want to calm down the tension, maybe there's a lot of intensity or the conversation was all heated up and you feel like you want to switch a little bit. Oh, on a happier note, maybe the people were all sad or something. Or you felt like, you know, or on a sad note, you just want to totally have them put your mind or fix the mind on something different. You say on a sad note. Okay, and then I've just thought about something, or I've just thought of something. You have an idea. You're running out of conversations about or something to say on a particular topic. Then you say, oh, I just thought about something. I've just thought about something, or something just came to mind. Why don't we bake a cake? Why don't we throw a backyard barbecue or something? I just thought about it, you know? Oh, there's something else I wanted to say. If you probably wanted to go, or you're probably wanting to disperse, say, oh, there's something else I wanted to say. I want to apologize for my misbehavior last time. I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm sorry about it. There's something else I needed to say. There's something else I wanted to say. There's something else I really ought to say. So you hear the different vocabularies: I needed, I ought, I must, I should say. So these are different. It's about 14 different expressions that you can use if you want to change a topic. And I got to explain to you the different scenarios on how you can start off the expressions that you can use depending on the scenario. It could be maybe because the conversation is boring, or the conversation is hurtful to others or to you, or that the conversation is already outspoken, that you have nothing else to say, or that you just remembered something because of what someone said and you want to interlude. How do you go about it? These are different expressions that you can use when you're doing, and it's really a polite way. And of course, it depends on your tone, because your tone actually says a lot. Your body expression, your facial expression, and your tone. Okay, don't be too brash about it. Don't be too harsh. Even though the words are coming out politely, but then what's your tone like? What's your expression like? People read all that. It's very, very important for communication. Communication is not just about the words that come out. Communication is about how you say it, and the posture and structure about how you place them. So it's very important. It will tell you if it's rude. It will tell you if you don't mean it. It will tell you if you're really polite, or if you're sincere about it. So today we've talked about expressions on regrets, or expressions of you're wishing for something. I hope, I wish, if only. And then now we've talked about expressions of how to change a particular subject or topic, or to change the atmosphere by bringing something cheerier, by bringing something happier, or simply just cutting it off, just to put an end to it. How do you say it? Please be formal, please be polite. Thank you. See you next time. Teacher Aïssa.
Écoles au Sénégal, d'accord. À Écoles au Sénégal, c'est facile, tu n'as qu'à